What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Ace here, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today we're going to be watching When Stupidity Goes Wrong. So I don't know what these people did or what type of stupid stuff that they did, but we gonna find out. So let's get right into the video.
Number 13. Wayne Roth. In November of 1997, Pennsylvania man Wayne Roth was at the home of his friend Roger Croteau, who had a pet cobra. Roth decided that he wanted to play with the highly venomous reptile. He reached into the tank.
Why would you decide to do that?
But the cobra perceived him as a threat and bit the 38-year-old as he picked it up. In spite of his friend's warnings and against what most would argue as common sense, Roth didn't go to the emergency room. Instead, he believed that he'd be able to withstand the reptile's venom, reportedly telling his friend, "I'm a man, I can handle it." Instead of the hospital, Roth went to a bar where he had a few drinks and boasted to other patrons about having just been bit by a cobra. The animal's venom attacks the central nervous system.
So this dude was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm the strongest man. Forget what every other man that ever got bit by a cobra said. You know, I'm a man. I got this. I'm gonna go get a couple drinks with the homies. It's gonna be all good. This dude, all right, bro.
But it's generally rather slow acting, in spite of
I really wonder what's about to happen to this man.
Roth's belief in his masculine imperviousness. He ended up dying a few hours later. Number 12.
What a surprise.
Stephen Winfrey. On New Year's Day 2015, British man Stephen Winfrey was hunting for rabbits near his home in Doncaster, South Yorkshire. On January the 2nd, a passerby found the 50-year-old man with half his body sticking out of a rabbit hole. Winfrey's head was inside, while only his legs and torso were visible. The man had been dead for several hours. The ferrets he'd been using to hunt were found in bags while his dog was discovered tied to a tree nearby. Next to the man's lifeless body was a mound of soil and a dead rabbit. Judging by the scratch marks on the ground, Winfrey had struggled to get out, but his efforts were to no avail. He'd succumbed to asphyxia after sticking his head inside the hole and becoming stuck. Number 11. Daniel Kaluba. On January the 14th of 2021, a teenager from
But this just happened. But they own it.
Bengal region in the Democratic Republic of Congo died after striking a soccer ball filled with hardened concrete. The team that 18-year-old Daniel Kaluba had brought the ball and intended to use it to prank their opponents. However, the players then decided to warm up using the concrete ball and to test their abilities to kick it. Kaluba called for a header and his teammate passed accordingly. The teenager struck the ball with his head and the impact inflicted severe injuries. Kaluba died as a result, while the player who passed the ball to him reportedly faced charges. Number 10. Quintin Gilotti. On June the 2nd of 1997, teenager Quintin Gilotti died in an accident involving 32 other students from California's Napa High School. They were on a senior class trip to Concord's Waterworld, USA. The students wanted to see how many of them could fit on a single section of the 40-foot high Banzai pipeline water slide. By piling into it, they subjected the attraction to weight forces 3 times greater than those for which it had been designed. A section of the slide broke open and twisted upside down as it fell, sending students plummeting to the ground. 18-year-old Gilotti died while over a dozen students were hospitalized as a result of the accident. Number 9. Mauled by Bengal tigers. In May of 1999, 2 elderly German tourists were mauled to death by 3 Bengal tigers at a wildlife park in Spain's Alicante province. The unnamed married couple, both reported as being in their 70s, ignored the warnings issued by staff at Safari El Virgil. The park's safety guidelines stated that visitors should drive on the grounds with their windows rolled up. Signs written in multiple languages informed the couple that they were in a dangerous area and under no circumstances were they to exit their vehicle. Even though their lives were at stake, they still got out of their car. Before long, 3 massive Bengal tigers pounced on them. The felines swiftly inflicted devastating neck injuries, to which the man and his wife would later succumb. Number 8. Explosive selfies. In January of 2015, two young men traveling in Russia's Ural Mountains found a live grenade and decided to take a selfie with it. Some sources report that they discovered the explosive weapon without a safety pin, while others claim that they'd pulled the pin out specifically for the selfie. Whatever the case might have been, a grenade without a safety on is extremely dangerous, as this means it's armed and ready for use. Both men were instantly obliterated as the grenade went off in their faces. Only the phone with the picture remained and served as evidence of how they died. In 2017, another grenade selfie went horribly wrong. Russian man Alexander Chechich had sent photos to a friend of him holding the armed explosive in his hand. It's believed that the man couldn't put the safety pin back in, at which point the weapon went off, killing Chechich by tearing his body in half. Number 7. Clifford Ray Jones. In 2016, Detroit man Clifford Ray Jones died in a car crash under rather unusual circumstances. He was watching an X-rated movie on his phone while driving down I-75 without wearing pants. Jones's seatbelt wasn't fastened, and the roof on his 1996 Toyota was open. At some point, the 58-year-old had become too distracted and crashed into a roadway ramp. His vehicle rolled and Jones was ejected through the sunroof, sustained fatal injuries.
What the fuck?
Upon reaching the crash site, one Michigan State Police lieutenant referred to the incident as the strangest thing he'd ever encountered on the roadway. Number 6. David Monk.
That's not COVID. I was Indian cigarettes.
British man David Monk died in the Italian Alps in 2008 from an accident involving an improvised sled. 46-year-old Monk and a few
An improvised sled. Wow.
of his friends had removed some of the foam barriers that were used as protection at the end of the run. The men then used them as sledges and sped down the ski slope. In a dark, ironic twist, the men crashed into the very fence from where they'd earlier removed the foam barriers. Monk struck a post with his head and was killed instantly. Two of his friends were also badly injured, but they survived. Number 5. Jose Tony Alvarez Umanzo. On the 4th of July 2020, a man from Washington, D.C. died in the aftermath of a mishap with fireworks. 33-year-old Jose Tony Alvarez Umanzo was reportedly holding a commercial-grade firework above his head. The mortar-style pyrotechnic device was described as being so powerful that it was deemed illegal in the state. Nevertheless, Umanzo held it above his head after lighting it. Once ignited, the base of the firework ejected downwards, causing critical injuries to the man's head and upper body. Umanzo was rushed to the hospital where he was ultimately pronounced dead. Number 4. Sukhram Yadav. In January of 2021, Indian man Sukhram Yadav died after what was described as an air compressor enema.
Bro, they own this, bro. They are on this. This just happened. Oh, an air compressor? Did it explode? Oh, I always wonder what would happen. Let's watch.
The incident occurred in the Katni district of the Madhya Pradesh state. Yadav had been suffering from constipation and asked his friend, 35-year-old Vino Thakur, to help him resolve the matter by...
Bro, please don't tell me this man about to say he gonna put the dig up his booty pipe and then push the... Please tell me.
Inserting an air compressor nozzle into his rectum. Thakur did as asked, and within seconds Yadav's stomach swelled up and he became unconscious. He was rushed to the emergency room and later transferred to a different hospital, where doctors performed 3 surgeries in an attempt to save his life. Unfortunately, the man succumbed to his extensive internal injuries. Even though the matter was attributed to ignorance rather than malevolence, Thakur was arrested by the police. Number 3.
What?
Cynthia Covert. In May of 2020, Cynthia Covert was visiting a friend on Kiowa Island,
May 2020, this just happened.
near Charleston, South Carolina. At some point, the 58-year-old beautician saw an alligator near the pond behind her friend's house. Covert decided that she wanted to pet the beast, which...
I'm trying everything in my power not to leave, bro. I really am. Why? Why?
is frequently mentioned among the deadliest predators in North America. Her friend warned Covert that she'd witnessed the alligator snatch a deer from the water's edge only a few days prior.
So she was warned. The heat with the hands. She should have known better.
The woman replied that she didn't look like a deer and proceeded with her plan of touching the animal. It was
so I don't even know what to say. Let's watch.
Still immersed in the water when Covert bent over and reached out to pet it. In an instant, the beast lunged at the woman, clamped on her leg, and dragged her in the pond. A struggle ensued, from which Covert emerged, albeit briefly. She only had the chance to jokingly claim that she won't do that again, before the alligator bit her once more. The attack ended with the beast dragging the woman underwater and drowning her. It was later reportedly killed by local wildlife officers, even though it was argued that the beast had simply done what was inherent to its predatory nature. Number 2. Henry Hill Jr. In November of 2020, a man from Kershaw County, South Carolina, died in a fire under what was deemed as entirely preventable circumstances. 68-year-old Henry Hill Jr. had become trapped in his trailer home when it caught fire in the early hours of the morning. Hill and 2 others managed to get out. However, according to the responding firefighters and witnesses from the scene, Hill went back inside the flaming structure to retrieve a pair of pants. The man was found dead on the bedroom floor after succumbing to the intense heat.
I'm out. I tried it for y'all. I'm out, dog.
Number 1. Michael Anderson Godwin. In the 1980s, Michael Anderson Godwin was convicted of murder and sentenced to death via the electric chair. However, that verdict was eventually overturned on appeal, and Godwin was given life in prison in 1983. Still, Godwin would end up dying of electrocution several years later. In 1989, the 28-year-old was sitting on a steel toilet in his cell. At the same time, he was trying to repair a pair of headphones that were still connected to his TV set. Godwin would make the fatal mistake of biting into the cable while trying to split and reconnect it. He sustained a massive electric shock and was found dead in his cell at the Central Correctional Institution in South Carolina. The combination of conducting metal and the frayed cable essentially meant that Godwin had died on an electric chair of his own inadvertent design.
I really don't even know how to end this video, but yeah, I'm out, dog. Yeah, that's enough for me.